How's it going, everybody? Stellar here. Today we're going to be making a light, like a sci-fi light. I've been making a few of these for a light pack, kind of like a kitbash kit, to release to you guys. I'm using some reference from Quake 3, or Quake 4 concept art, but I'm going to kind of make it my own. Everything like that. I'm going to be releasing a kitbash kit for that. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I just kind of wanted to walk you guys through the steps of making the lights and how I'm going about doing so. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And right here I've just got a reference image pulled up from the concept art little board with multiple lights on it, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to start off today by just using some good old-fashioned Hardops and Boxcutter, but we do need to get a nice primitive shape going, so we got something to work with here. So I kind of like how this is going so far. Right now we're just kind of blocking in the general shape. I added this loop cut here because I want to use a neat Hardops function that I've used and showcased before. I'm going to do the curve extract. This time I'm just going to hold shift when I do this to get a plate from it. And we'll go ahead and just do it about like that. And then I'm going to take this here and just push it up so we can kind of follow the same profile this is there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and apply the solidify modifier on that because we no longer need it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these outer edges here, and we're just going to push them back to where they're about even with what we got going on here. We don't want any crazy looks going on there. Just nice and flat. We're going to do the same with the top bits here as well. And I accidentally did that, so what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and bring it back down. So we're looking pretty good so far. Next, what I'm going to do is select these both, go into edit mode here, and in fact, instead of selecting one, I'll just select this one, select these edges, deselect it, and select this one, select these outer edges here, as well as the inner. And then what we're going to do is go to both of them and back into edit mode. We're just going to bevel those over. And I need to select these as well, or else it's going to give me no room to work with my bevel here. So that looks pretty good like that. Next up, what I'm going to do is add a mirror modifier onto this, onto both of them. And then we're going to sharpen and bevel as well. Go ahead and give that a nice little bevel here, and we'll go ahead and do the same for this back piece. So that curve extract tool is very useful and very helpful. I quite love using it, to be honest. It's become such a useful tool to get quick geometry going without having to do anything too crazy like selecting it and duplicating the face and making it its own piece and then adding solidify. It really just makes life 20 times easier. So what I'm going to do now, and instead of doing what I was about to do, I'm just going to go ahead and use some Boxcutter here and just chop the front of this off just ever so slightly like that, just so it kind of has a little overlap to try to match the light we got going on up here. So next up, I'm just going to grab this, just bevel that edge over as well. And that looks about right. And instead of doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little bit more geometry, so it's a little bit more of a smooth surface. Something like that works pretty well. So I'm going to add a loop in the middle here, and one there since it's not showing up with the mirror activated. It's there, I promise. And we're just going to make that little indent right there. And to do that, I'm just going to push this over just until I get about the right shape. And I've just noticed my screencast keys are not on, even though I turned them on before the recording. One of these days, I promise I'll get the screencast keys going. To get the loop cuts there, if you didn't know, I just pressed Control R. So I do apologize about that. Moving along though. Next up, I'm just going to grab these two and just push them over to where they're a little bit more appropriately positioned. I don't quite like the angle that they were going on, but that was an easy fix. Another easy way to do that would just be blue box, just laser it down. But continuing on, next up I'm going to just grab these two lines here and just bevel them once, like so. And then we'll just grab the two interiors and push them down on the Z, just like that. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and get this shape in here. And the way I'm going to do that is with Hardops, so I'm going to add in another cube. I'll go ahead and scale it down to get it to about the size that we want it, and I will do it along the X as well. And I'm just going to grab this face here and pull it down to about right there. Take these two ends and just scale them out just a little bit because they're not quite the way I wanted them, but we're looking good so far. Next up, I'm going to grab this bottom edge here and just go ahead and pull it up, and we'll move this whole thing outwards like so, just so we kind of get the basic shape going. Got that shape going, I'm going to go ahead just push it down a little bit. I don't know if that's angled or not, but if it's not, then I'm just going to push it down anyways because I kind of like the way this is looking so far. And I'm just going to grab these edges here. I'm basically using these reference images as just that, as a reference, because I like the general shape they're in, but I definitely do want to modify it just so it looks good and it's in pretty much my own style. I'm going to take this, just grab this edge here, and we're going to give it a nice little bevel. Just going to have some fun with the shape. We'll go ahead and do the same for this entire line, like so. That looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and sharpen that and throw a little bevel on it, as well as give it a mirror. I should have done the mirror first. I keep forgetting to do it that way, so that way I don't have to keep coming in here and doing that. So I'm just going to go and do full screen by doing Control Space Bar, which, if you didn't know, no matter which window you're in, Control Space Bar, wherever your mouse is holding over, will minimize and maximize the screens, which is pretty cool. So that's how some of my videos look the way they do. I'll go ahead and inset this face here. And we're just going to grab these, slide them up and into the mesh, so that way when we do the union boolean, it doesn't look so crazy. Next up, I'm going to grab this and just press E and extrude it down on the Z, like so. And that looks pretty good like that. Next up, I'm just going to hit Shift Q after I've selected both of those and do the union. And if you notice, we have a little bit of an issue, but this is no big deal. I'm going to do Control tilde to bring up our little mirror here, or our window here, because I like the full screen staying the way it is. I'll just go ahead and get rid of that bevel modifier. And we're looking pretty good.
So good.
Next up, what we'll do, I'll just grab a cutter here. We'll do the cut box, and then we'll go to object. And I will start about here. Just draw a box up to where it meets that ever so slightly. I like the way that looks. And we're just going to bevel it with one segment. Just like so. And that looks pretty good to me.
So good and tasty.
So I'm just going to take these and I want to inset it and extrude it downwards just to make like a little accent piece. I'll go ahead and turn the bevel down a little bit so it's not so crazy. Next up, just going to add a little accent piece here. Like so. And I'm just going to use the knife tool to clean up these issues here. Just kind of separate it. And quad it out, because you want to try to make this look as neat as possible, even though I got a giant end gun going here, but we're going to be fixing that later before the pack is released. I'll make sure it's really good geometry, or good enough to work with. At least it doesn't have to be crazy good. Next up, I'm just going to grab a knife, cut here, and it did it on the other side. And we're just going to inset this face and push it inwards, just enough like that. Now what I'm going to do, because I didn't quite think that through, I'm just going to go ahead and merge these at last. Accidentally fat-fingered something there by accident. No big deal. Instead of doing at last, I realized I should have done something a little bit better. So what I will do is just add in a line here. Just going to clean this up a bit. Put that directly under there, and we're just going to merge this here. And we'll just go ahead and dissolve that edge. And merge this. Next up, I'm just going to grab these and just push them down so it doesn't look nearly as bad. Now it's time to add the light bulbs in, which they don't really look like light bulbs, they look kind of rectangular, so we're just going to do that. Add in a cube. I want to be able to add 2 in to have room, so I'm just going to duplicate this. I don't know why I didn't duplicate it. That's because it's inside the cube, or inside there. Our thing here, I didn't quite pay attention. If I can press the right thing, just Shift D. And we're going to scale these two up together, just so we're looking pretty good like that. I like the way that looks. And instead of doing that way, I'm going to do it like this. And turn on the wireframe so I can kind of see what's going on here. And I'm just wanting to make them fit in with a little bit of wiggle room. And that looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and turn off wireframe and get out of X-ray view. Now I'm going to rotate them. And that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and extend them out this way, like so. And we're going to grab these. My screencast keys seem to have messed up. Go ahead and enable them and disable them. Let's go ahead and try that again. I'm definitely going to be getting a different screencast keys or like thereof an app to do that, because this is getting a bit annoying, especially when my cast keys just keep messing up on me. And I want to make sure I didn't select that, which I did. That's not a big deal. Go ahead and just give them a nice bevel so that they look good. I did not mean to do the difference there. Alright. Go ahead and join these two together so we don't have any issues with them. I'll sharpen them and throw a nice bevel on it as well. We'll do a mirror modifier just to give us a little bit more precision. So we got those in. That's looking pretty good now.
So good.
Next up, what I'm going to do is just use the make box here. And we're going to draw in just a nice box that goes across. Bring it up like so. And I notice it's different, but like I said, I'm making it my own type thing, so that's what we're going to go with. We will do something like this. Go ahead and take that, and we're just going to move it along its native Y. We'll throw in a loop as well. And we're just going to extrude that downwards to here. Extrude it downwards just again. Just like so. I'm not a fan of how this is matching up, so what I'm going to do is just grab all of these just push them along its native Y until it gets to somewhere that I like. And that looks pretty good. I don't know why this is looking goofy, but we can fix that. Go ahead and move this just along the normal Y. And we'll do the same for this piece here, just so it looks good. And in my mind, I know if I leave that, it's going to haunt me and I'm going to hate myself for it. So to prevent that from happening and prevent self-hate, I'm just going to fix it. And we're just going to dissolve these edges here and merge these together. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take this whole loop and just bevel it over. Just like so. I'll take these edges here, give them a nice bevel, and I'm going to do origin to geometry and a mirror on that. We'll go ahead and move this to first. I'll go ahead something like this and just move it in a little bit. And I'll keep that live because I'm going to fix that shading with good old blue box here. We'll go to View, Box, make sure I have the right thing selected, and we'll just send it through, and that fixed it perfectly. Next up, I'm just going to merge this just so it looks a little bit better, less goofy. Just going to apply the mirror, and we'll send it on its merry way on the other side there. And now I'm going to have some fun with the front here, give it a little bit more pizzazz in its life. We're going to go with Ingon. Just like so. And like I said, we're just going to have some fun with this. It's not going to be matching our reference that we have pulled up here at all, but it's for my amusement. So I'm just going to do something like that. And we'll move this over just a bit so that our lines look a lot happier. And I'm going to grab this face since I didn't realize until just now that I made it a little bit too tall, but that's not a problem. Grab that line and that line. And we'll move it over just so it looks a lot better. Now we're cooking. Select line box or Ingon here, so that way we have add some fun details in, like so. I don't like the way that one turned out, so we're just going to do it like this instead. Something like so. And that looks pretty good to me. I'll go ahead and hide this and sharpen that, and then we can go in and try to clean up some of this geometry here so we're not looking so horrible. The way we can fix this as well is just add a weighted normal modifier just to kind of hide some of our crimes. And now we're looking pretty good. I'm liking the way this turned out so far. Next up, what we can do is just add a little bit of detail here and there. Extrude that inwards just a little bit and scale it down. Just like so. Just some depth and detail, just to make it look pretty neat. And I don't actually like how sharp these are here, so what I'm going to do is just select this whole line, and we're going to bevel it over. Next up, I'm just going to grab these faces and double tap I to inset them separately, and we'll just push them in just to give it some more detail. And in fact, what I'll do is go into individual origin. Actually, I don't have to do that because it's mirrored, so I'm just going to size it in. Grab this face, move it down. Grab that face, move it up. And we're looking pretty good. This is a nice looking light so far. And I'm sure you're about to ask, but where's the light? I don't see it. Well, we're about to get there, so fear not. Next up, I'm going to just add in a cylinder here. Go ahead and scale this down. Before I do that, I'm going to move it up and scale it way down here, just so we can work on it a little bit better. I'll go ahead and apply the scale and bevel this over. Now I'm going to add in another cylinder and just do 8 vertices. Scale it in. We're basically just making a hex head. Little cutter here. Go ahead and difference that, and it's giving me such a weird issue. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, so we'll go ahead and try that again. Difference, and there we go. Kind of wanted something like that. Maybe a little deeper. And we're looking pretty good. I went ahead and C-sharp that. Added a decent little bevel in. Now we'll just grab this face and do something like that, just to give it a little bit more visual looks here. Go ahead and scale this in to where it's about the size of the hole, and push it down and rotate it on the X here. Duplicate that, scoot it over, and we're going to join both of these together. Holding shift and clicking the other one, we're going to press Alt X and mirror it to the other side. So now we got some nice little screws there. Next up, I'm just going to go to wedge. Make sure we are on object mode here. I'm just going to draw a line, bring it over, click, and we're going to angle it downwards. Just like so. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen that and turn down the bevel just a little bit because that was a bit too wild. And I'm going to GG slide that, something like this. Too bad. A little bit of flare there, nothing too crazy. I'm going to go ahead and apply the mirror. That's looking pretty good. We don't need to mess with it anymore. And that's the light so far, so good. So now what I'm going to do is just press Q, and we're going to go to Mesh Tools and add a blank material. And we're just going to hold Control to give it a unique material per object. And we'll select these here and go into our material and just get rid of this and add a new one. And we'll change that to emission. Kind of go for like a yellowish color and turn it up to, we'll do 5. We'll see what we look like in rendered view here. I'm just going to press Alt V, go to Look Dev Plus, scroll through, go to the Studio one here. I'm going to press Alt V again just to turn on bloom and screen space reflections, as well as ambient occlusion, just so we're looking a lot better here. And so that's pretty much our sci-fi light. Nothing too crazy. It looks pretty good. And that's pretty much it for this light. This light will be available in my light pack for kitbash, and I'm thinking about making it a K-pack as well. I hope this was a good video to learn from. If you guys have any suggestions or even questions, comments, concerns, or emotional outbursts, as I love to read those. Definitely post those down into the comments or message me directly on the multiple platforms that I do post on. I do like to answer questions and all that stuff, so if you guys enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I really enjoy making it for you guys, and I like teaching. It's been one of my passions, but I'll let you guys get to it, and on that note, I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for watching.